Hello, Java Challenger. I'm here in the second video with Jonatas. Jonatas is doing the Challenger Developer course. And in the previous video, he told me what are his main career challenges. And I took notes of his career challenges. And now I'm going to give him the guidance for his challenges. Hello, Jonatas. How are you?
Good and good.
Very good. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. So, like I said, I wrote down your challenges. And as you told me, one of your biggest pain points is the lack of discipline to keep up on your studies. And from what I understood, you started doing something that's too advanced for your current technical skills. And then you get demotivated because it becomes so difficult that you think to yourself, oh no, like tomorrow I'm going to have to do the same and I'm going to waste my time. So first thing, you have to change your mindset regarding that. Because when you are struggling to do something, you're not wasting your time. You're just figuring out another better way to do your learning. Because, for example, if let's suppose you are struggling to configure something specific from Spring and you need to learn Maven or Java a little bit more in details, then it's actually a good idea to go back to Java or to Maven or to any other fundamental, even object-oriented programming. So sometimes we need to go back to the fundamentals, and that's what will actually make you create real skills. So it's not by reading books passively or watching courses passively that you're going to acquire a skill. And the struggle time is very important because it's only by going through this struggle that your brain will get that information, even if the information is all confused and nothing makes much sense at the moment we are learning. But then usually with time, what will happen is that things will make sense to you. And then you're going to learn, right? You're going to understand what are the concepts behind the scenes. And in the next time, it's going to be so easy to face the challenge you were facing before. It's going to be easy to, for example, to create this Spring project. But at the same time, you have to be careful to not start very hard. If you start on something very advanced, you're going to get demotivated. So you have to find the sweet spot. And what is the sweet spot? The sweet spot is when you are learning something that's not too difficult and it's not too easy. It's on the sweet spot. It's a little bit challenging. It's a little bit more challenging than your current skill level. The problem is, for example, if your skill level is here and you're trying something of that complexity, then it's very difficult. So it's better like if you try something like a little bit above your skill level, then you start growing and you don't get too motivated as well. And the other thing that you told me that it's something that I'm pretty much sure that lots of developers struggle with, that is to think that you're going to create a perfect plan. So no plan survives in the battlefield. So you think that you're going to start studying Spring and all of a sudden you're going to create a microservice with message brokers, with containers deployed in AWS, Azure, everywhere. No, you have to learn the fundamentals
exactly
first.
my plan.
Yeah, so that doesn't work, right? You have to learn the concepts and the basics first. right? Otherwise, how can you match this puzzle if you don't know the pieces of this puzzle, right? So have to be careful and, to forget about embracing the world. You can start very small, right? For example, if you have difficulties with Maven, maybe focus only on Maven for a while until you get comfortable enough to create a Java project with Maven. And if you don't feel comfortable with Docker, focus only on Docker to create uh, something reasonable, right? Using this tool. And, the same thing with any technology you're struggling with. Otherwise, if you try to get lots of concepts at once, it's going to be very difficult. And it's very likely that you're going to give up. So you can't allow that to happen. And the other crucial point you told me is that it's difficult to manage time. And that's definitely difficult for developers because besides they work a lot on their jobs, in your case, you are also working a lot. You have your family, you have your friends, you have other commitments, right? And you also mentioned that you need to help other people very often. And I agree with you that from time to time, you're going to help people and sometimes other people will help you. But it's also important to put a boundary, right? You can't forget that you have your life as well. You can't put yourself available all the time to help others. Actually, I would recommend you using the 5 minutes rule. Like if someone asks you for help and you can help them in 5 minutes, do that. But if it requires more time, then maybe if it's too critical, try to schedule a meeting, but don't let people access you all the time. Otherwise, you won't be able to follow your routine. Preferably, you have to be a person that is hard to access. You can't just give your time randomly to people, right? So this is about having boundaries and prioritizing your career and your life. Remember the example, like when, an airplane is falling down, what they say that you should put the mask first on you and then you help other people.
And then it help other. Only right.
Yeah. So this is not about being selfish. It's about saving yourself first. And then when you're fine,
Be able to
you can
help
help
others.
others. Yeah, you can help others a lot more. Otherwise, you're going to be always suffocated with this situation. And you're going to be annoyed that other people are asking for help, but you can't put the time for your career. So it's not good for anyone, right? And I'm not saying that you can't give 5 minutes help. Obviously, you can. But the problem is that if someone asks you help at the moments that you are focusing on your Java career, you can't stop your things to help someone else in a random time. So otherwise, you don't follow your routine. And if you really need to be open to help people, my suggestion would be, hey, if you need my help, I'll be available, I don't know, on Sundays from this time to this time. So only contact me during those times because during the week, I'm going to focus on my career. So, but if it's something that you can help in 5 minutes, do it. Like use the 5 minutes rule. 5 minutes rule is very good.
Interesting.
But you have to prioritize your career goals and your studies. Otherwise, it's going to be easy to not have discipline. And you can't forget that your time is your time. It's not from other people. Obviously, when you have a family, it's not like that, but I'm sure that you can reserve some time for you, right?
Yeah.
For example, you put some time in your routine, maybe in the morning, that it is your time. And you can also communicate that to your family and say, hey, family, from this time to this time, I'll be focusing on my career, okay? Then they'll be probably supportive of that.
You are even open some spots in my calendar after saying that.
Yeah, I would suggest to
They have more.
yeah, I would suggest in the morning. Why in the morning? Because in the morning you have your willpower at the maximum. At the end of the day, your willpower is very low, which means that it's
Yeah,
far more easy for you to procrastinate and to say, hey, forget it. I want to
totally,
do that.
totally,
I
totally.
want to do that. Yeah. So, and in the morning is good because usually people are sleeping. Maybe your kids would be in school. I don't know what is your routine exactly, but usually in the morning it's more peaceful and you can focus on your things.
I'm considering here. I don't know if I would be able to do that. I can try, because I already heard about the 5 a.m. club, so maybe I can try to start wake up early and focus on that in the morning while we have silence at home also.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be exactly 5 a.m. It could be early in the morning. Like if 7 a.m. is a time that you can be in peace, why not?
Not
Doesn't need to be
exactly.
exactly 5 a.m. Okay. So if
My daughter wake up at 7, and I wake up around 7 because of that.
okay,
That's why
so
I was considering to wake up before that.
yes, 5 a.m.
Maybe
definitely is a good
maybe
idea
that's the
because
time. We can
5 a.m.
try. I can try.
5 a.m. is a time that you're gonna have peace. Like everyone will be sleeping. It's gonna be only you. You're gonna be peaceful, you know, silence,
Yeah.
and you're gonna be able to concentrate, fully concentrate on your studies. Then I'm fully sure that you can manage, you can study, right? Always
Yeah.
when
I
you
feel
and when you study, always keep the big picture in your mind. Because it's if you don't know your why very clearly, it's easy to give up. And waking up at 5 a.m. is not easy, right? You're gonna have to change your habits during the evening as well. Because if you want to wake up at 5 a.m., you're gonna have to sleep earlier. So
it's not a problem. It's not an issue.
okay. Yeah, so this is the most optimal solution in your case. Wake up at 5
I think
a.m.,
so.
peaceful time. You can focus, you can pay yourself first, and then you pay your bills, right? Always the focus has to be on your career, never on the job. And it doesn't mean that you will not do a good job. No, it means that you have to put yourself first and you have to have the big picture in mind. Otherwise, it's too easy to give up. Otherwise, what will be your why of, doing this work of studying Java, the Java ecosystem, microservices, right? So there wouldn't be much of a motivation. But if you know that you are studying because you want to become a Java developer, it's because you want to grow, you want a career as a Java developer, you want to evolve technically, then that's much better. I would even go further. I would print the why and I would put on your wall. Because then, and you can put that in front of your computer. Because every time you get demotivated and you want to give up, just look. Why I'm doing that? I'm doing that because of that. Yes, let's
Amazing.
go.
Good motivation.
Yes, because it's easy to get demotivated. So if you have something in front of you all the time, there's no way you're gonna forget why you are doing that. So for the problem of lack of time, My recommendation is to, do the work at 5 a.m. and use Pomodoro. Pomodoro is super important because then you can see clearly how many Pomodoros you used during the week and you know exactly how much work you've done. And the other problem you mentioned is that you are working with bad code. And, this is kind of a tricky problem to solve because that's a problem that's it's not about one developer solving the whole situation. It's about the culture. It's about influencing other people. You can only solve this problem by influencing and telling them the value of creating good code.
But can I tell you something? After having some conversation with my managers, I mentioned in plural because it's the old one and from the new team, we were able to align long-term project. It won't be 1 year, but we know that we have this complicated project to deal with, and we have this new project being developed. And we are trying to organize an initiative to bring some elements from here to here. And I will be guiding on this migration. It will be interesting because I will be working and bringing some value because I feel that we need to get rid of this legacy code. And I will learn a lot of things because I will need to understand what we have on this side and putting this side. And considering that we are developing from scratch, I would like to create using the best practices. So I also understand that this will be an interesting opportunity to put some skill and practices. I'm still on the conversation, but I feel that they are open to that and I'm receiving some advices and who we can talk to move this forward. So maybe we will have new things for the future.
Perfect. And that's what I recommend for every developer. Like to not put themselves in the victim position when there is bad code and try to do your part. At the very least, tell managers, tell the team. Don't just complain about the code. That's the wrong approach.
Exactly.
Like you as a professional, we as developers, we have the commitment of telling the team that we can improve the code, we can make the code better with some code practices. And it's our job to tell management, to influence the team to improve the code. And obviously, if there is hard pushback, at least you tried.
Yeah.
Right? Then it's a different situation. When there is a hard pushback, then the only way is to move to another job. Right? So, but it's important to remind developers that we need to do our part. A doctor has to tell you, for example, if you are doing a heart surgery, imagine the patient tells the doctor, "Oh, doctor, I need this surgery to be fast." What is the responsibility of the doctor as a professional? Is to tell the patient that it's gonna take a while. Otherwise, he's gonna kill the patient. And it's the same, kind of the same with coding, right? We need to be the professionals and say, hey, in this time, in this deadline, it's impossible. Or with the code quality we have, we can't survive. We have to change. We have to improve the code, have to make the code more maintainable. So, and really, we have to avoid the victim mindset and start complaining. Like, this is toxic. It is toxic. Like, the more energy you spend complaining, the more time you waste. And, instead of wasting time complaining, focus on the things that will bring you career growth. Always thinking about growth and never stop learning. So you want to make the move to Java. So Yeah, by creating this disciplined way of learning, it's going to be much easier to make the move. And, you are doing important things already. You mentioned to your manager that you want to pair more, that you want to be more involved with Java. You are working more closely to developers with Java, which is great because that will give you insights to get better as a Java developer. And in the meantime, I will also recommend you to do some interviews, and you don't need to accept the offer, but you need to feel how is the market for Java developers. You need to see how much they are paying and what are the skills that you are lacking for the Java interviews. I think that's crucial because once you have this information, you can create a plan to study those concepts specifically so that in the next interview, it's much easier.
You're right.
And the other point is to focus on fundamentals instead of tools. Because if you try to learn tools without fundamentals, you might have two outcomes. You might have the first outcome, which you memorize stuff, you make it work, but you have no idea how things work.
Oh, yeah.
And the other one might be that you struggle too much to make it work. So both outcomes are not good. But when you go back to fundamentals, the solid foundation will be constructed. And then to go to tools and those other things that are not really essential, it gets much easier to learn them. So in the learning process, we have to be patient. We can't go eager to create very advanced things. Otherwise, we don't build the solid foundation we need to get to those tools. And then it gets much harder to learn as well. So it's interesting, but if you learn the basics and if you learn the fundamentals very well, you can learn any tool much more quickly because they just become tools. Like one simple example is algorithms. If you're very good with algorithms, you will learn any other programming language a lot more easy. Why? Because programming languages are just tools, right? So if you know the concepts and the paradigms like object-oriented programming or functional programming, it's going to be easy to learn any programming language as well. Obviously, if you go to C or C++ or Rust, you're going to need to know more about low-level programming, but that's another paradigm. But usually, in general, if you learn the fundamentals, you become a faster learning. So, and even I know that, do you know Charlie Munger?
No.
Charlie Munger was the partner of Warren Buffett. I know that he's not involved in IT, obviously, but he helped Warren Buffett to create his fortune.
Wow.
And was a very intelligent person and very wise as well. And he talked about that. He has a quote where he says that if you learn the basics very well, you become a faster learner. That makes sense. That's basically the same as creating a solid foundation. Then learning the tools is much easier and faster. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So what is preventing you to go back to simpler concepts when you are doing your studies?
Nothing. The best organization, but now nothing. So wake up early, organize, finding the sweet spot. I think that I know where is the sweet spot. And if I find this not exactly the sweet spot, I need to change a little bit. And 5 is much more.
Yeah, and you need to be consistent.
Yeah.
And
Real push.
to be consistent, the first thing you need to know your why. So that's why I told you to put in front of you your why with as many details as possible
And
on the wall.
okay.
Yeah, on the wall.
Okay. Nice.
Uh, and the other thing is that there will be days that you're going to have to fight your mind. And that's not easy. So on those days, you're going to have to suck it up. Basically, sometimes you're going to have to work with zero motivation. It will definitely help if you look at your why, because then you see the big picture. You remind yourself on why you are doing it, but you have to train yourself to be disciplined. There's a definition from Mike Tyson, which I really like, that he talks about discipline. He says that um, discipline is to do what you hate, but do it as you love it. And he says in the interview he gave to Joe Rogan that if you don't have discipline, you ain't nothing, right? Because it's easy to have motivation. Think about that. Anyone can be motivated. It's easy to take action when you are motivated. And the funny thing about motivation is that in order to be motivated, you have to start taking action first, and then the
Exactly.
motivation comes. So that's why you have to tell your mind, sometimes trick your mind to say, hey, I know that you're feeling maybe a little bit of laziness because it's too early, it's 5 a.m. Maybe some days it's going to be a little bit cold. The bed will be very comfy. You're going to have to fight your mind. Say, mind, I'll do that. I will wake up. So I'm just telling you right now because I'm pretty sure those days will come. And if I don't tell you and if I don't prepare you mentally to face those challenges, it's going to be easy to give up. But if I tell you ahead of time, you are prepared for that already. You know this will happen. This will definitely happen. Will definitely happen. You're going to have to fight yourself. And your mind has to be stronger than your emotions and your body. And you have to remember the reason why you are doing that. So that's why it's extremely important to write which details, what will be the feeling when you achieve your goals.
Great.
Because once you remember yourself constantly, the feeling, you're going to be on fire. And that's what I want, right? So if you are on fire, man, you're going to achieve the goals. But at the same point, I have to remember you the reality, right? It's not flowers and roses. It's discipline. And like Mike Tyson said, discipline is to do
What you hate,
but
as you
do
love.
it as you love it. Obviously, like you're gonna hate waking up at 5 a.m.,
But do it as you love it.
but do it as you.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So obviously, they're gonna follow up with you to see how it's going. But for now, you have to change the strategy, right? Because if you try to take action in the evening when your willpower is very low, it's very difficult to take action. And
Because
you have your time with your family as well. And if you do that in the morning, during the evening, you're gonna have all the time to spend with your family. So the key here is to stay focused and to be strategic on your actions. Obviously, you can't study random things. You have to study things that make sense for your career goals. You also need to fight your emotions and your body. Your mind has to be stronger,
Okay.
right? Your mind has to be in control. And every time you struggle with anything that's technical, it's totally fine to send your question on Discord. Use Discord for that.
I'll do this. I'm trouble on Discord, but I'll use Discord as I love it.
Okay.
Because I hate it.
Yeah, Discord is amazing. It's not bad. Come on.
I'm old. I'm not from the Discord time. It's too much information. But I will use it as I love it.
Yeah. So yeah, use Discord. Like put there your technical questions because there's not only me, there is a community there that can help you, and it's, you putting your questions there, it's learning for everyone because someone will answer you and others will see the answer, others will see the solution. So definitely use the community. That's so important. Very good. I think we addressed all the challenges for now, right?
I think so.
Amazing. So, yeah, again, thank you so much, Jonatas, for telling me your career challenges and accepting my guidance humbly to grow in your career. To be humble is very important to grow. Otherwise, if you're not humble, you don't grow, right? You think you know everything and then you do things on your own, don't accept help, and you don't grow. You don't grow. So that's something very important. Like the more you grow, it's important to stay humble and to always be learning. Keep learning. Very good. So that's pretty much it for this video, Java Challenger. And in the third video, Jonatas will make questions to me about his career goals. And that's pretty much it. Thank you so much. Thanks, Jonatas.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers.